Hello, everyone.
Hello, hello, hello.
Me, Boozer.
And I'm the brain.
And as we are now at a point where Series 2 is sort of getting well underway, we thought it a nice opportunity to just sit back and relax and reflect on some of the beers that we enjoyed maybe a little bit more than others over the course of Series 1.
Yeah, so this is our way of summarizing Series 1 by giving you our top 5 most memorable beers of 2021.
Absolutely. And worth saying, most memorable, not necessarily the ones we rated highest, although there may be a little bit of overlap there. Who knows?
There might be.
But yeah, things that have really just stuck out in our memory from looking back over the episodes that we did. And before we get to that top 5, we were chatting about this a little bit, obviously. Firstly, the one thing I'd love to mention is two of the sort of series of beers that have featured in Series 1.
Yes.
The first one that I think absolutely needs mention is the Tiny Rebel cocktail 4-pack from their birthday.
Oh, God, yeah.
Just absolutely outstanding. Sad but wonderful that it was limited release.
Yeah.
But also, you know, what Tiny Rebel have done with their cocktail beers. Let's face it, you know, we've seen an Imperial Stay Puft that was an Irish coffee, lovely cocktail there. The birthday cocktail 4-pack. And of course, you know, if we're talking about cocktail beers from Tiny Rebel, we can't not mention the Bloody Mary from the Advent calendar.
We really can't. That was something special. Obviously, didn't appear in an episode, but those of you who follow our Instagram page might have picked up on that one.
We can but hope. So definitely worth mentioning just Tiny Rebel cocktail beers as a whole, but that 4-pack that they did for their birthday.
Oh, superb. So that was the blood orange mimosa, the white Russian, the gin sour, and the pina colada.
Those are the ones.
Oh, what a 4-pack that was.
What a 4-pack they were. So definitely I felt they needed mentioning talking about Series 1. And also
definitely
featured relatively early in Series 1, but it's certainly a series that I know we're going to revisit at some point. And that's a huge tip of the hat to our friends at Amazon Briggery for their dessert in a cans, or maybe, you know, at the first in parentheses, barrel-aged desserts in a can. Because, you know, they do a wonderful range of both barrel-aged and non-barrel-aged. They do the same flavors in both, I think, or there is certainly some overlap. But just absolutely. Every time I see one of them on a shelf, it just makes me smile.
I know. In fact, as it happens, I'm looking at 2 of them on a shelf right now, and they're making me smile.
Well, there you go. Don't lose that staring contest, because the keen viewers may have noticed that I'm actually at home, but you're not.
I'm at my other home.
Your
yes,
other
I'm coming
home.
to you live from Cambridge Wine Royston.
Of course, we couldn't do anything and not mention them. So there they are. If you've not had the chance to visit the shop, there it is in virtual form.
Indeed. Maybe this will entice you. Come on in.
The shelves behind you might entice everyone. You yourself might put...
Yeah, shall I just get out of the way? I'll just... There you go. Yeah, that'd be better, won't it?
That would be better.
You don't need to see me. You only need to hear me. That's what you usually do.
That's more than most of us can cope with on a usual basis. But, you know.
Fair. Entirely fair. So before we get down to the actual top 5, which we will do counting down in order, it's worth doing a few honourable mentions, I think some beers that we found really memorable, but for one reason or another, we didn't quite feel like we could put actually in the top 5 of our most memorable, because, you know, that's a fairly short list for, you know, quite a few memorable beers that we had in 2021.
Well, I mean, it's over 36 episodes and each one had at least 2 beers. So, you know,
exactly.
There's a lot to go over.
There's a fair few there. So, worth mentioning just a few there. Obviously, we've already mentioned those series of beers, but another one that I'd sort of like to mention for one very good reason is the Neon Raptor Vanilla Weisser with orange and apricot.
That one.
Yeah, and the one reason I want to mention that is because that, I think, is the one you and I disagreed about most in 2021. That was our biggest disparity in terms of ratings. That was, I think, the only time in Series 1 we really did not feel at all the same about a beer.
It's the closest thing to a domestic we've had in our 12-year friendship.
It was. So I think that one gets a mention, if only for that reason. Got to.
Do you know what? No, that's completely fair. And it was wonderful to finally find a beer that we didn't feel the same about.
Yeah.
Or at the bare minimum, not give the same rating, but for different reasons, which we are also inclined to do quite a lot.
We were 0.5 apart in our ratings, and that's a big chasm for the two of us.
That's a big gap. And do you know what? In terms of just singular honourable mentions, I'm going to chuck in the Forever, Ever, Ever from New Bristol Brewery. Because again, as a beer, there was nothing particularly special about it, really, apart from the fact that it was incredibly well made from a great brewery.
And used the new Cryopop blend, which was
sure. But actually, to be fair, by the time we got to drinking it, we drunk a good few Cryopop beers.
We had a few already, yeah.
I would say it was getting to the point where that wasn't completely unique, really. But there was just something. It was the can art, it was the beer, it was just you opened it and just the room filled with zen. It was just so relaxing.
Yeah, it was uncanny. It was just the most uncanny feeling that the experience of drinking that beer gave us. Like, we didn't quite know how to describe, but it genuinely did just sort of relax you in a very unique way. So yeah, definitely a good one to mention there.
Definitely. Just the most relaxing experience I think I've ever had with a beer.
Right.
And that's a statement. Let's face it.
Absolutely. So were there any others that we wanted to mention honorably? I think there are a few.
I think there are. And actually, to be fair, there's a few that we agree on as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, huge tip of the hat back to our good friends in Brighton at Unbarred.
Yeah.
The sticky toffee pudding white stout that we
had when we were with. Yeah.
Oh, when we were there.
Glorious.
Takes me back. And just what a
weekend.
What a
weekend. Absolutely fantastic. Another one I think that we both had on our list was Viva la Guavolution from Brew York. Best beer I had from them all year, no question. It was absolutely gorgeous pastry sour. That one really stuck in my mind. It was superb.
True. And another one that we agreed with. Yeah, there was the one more which we both said feels very memorable, but perhaps for the wrong reason, because it actually featured in our Christmas episode.
Yeah.
And that was once again our great friends, Tiny Rebel, the Imperial Stay Puffed Eggnog White Stout.
Yes, the Imperial Eggnog Marshmallow White. That was something very, very special. Wonderful Christmas beer. But, it's kind of obvious that one was going to be fairly memorable because it was a great beer that we had in our last episode of the series. So it's still quite fresh in the mind. So we thought it would be a little unfair to put that in our list.
But also to give it credit, as we've said before, Tiny Rebel have done Stay Puft for a very long time. They've played around with the Imperial Stay Puft 4-packs that they've done. To my recollection, it's the first time they've ever done a white stout.
I think so, yeah. I can't think of another one offhand.
No,
but yeah, as you say, they've played around with that formula a lot.
Worth honourable mention for that as well.
Yeah, definitely.
And I guess that leads us to our top fives.
Let's do it.
Okay, then. So we're going to go through 5 up to 1, but we're going to do each other, or our own next to each other's.
Yeah.
And you'll see there's a few overlaps there, but it's
all good.
A
little overlap,
but firstly, in 5. So
number 5.
My number 5 was the from the Patrons Project of Northern Monk. It was their collab with Emperor's Brewery, who I'm still really excited to try more of their stuff.
Me too.
But it was their collab with Saint Croissant, the Imperial Banana Cronut Stout. I mean, I'm surprised it's the most memorable, given the fact it kicked in at 14%. It was a pretty big kicker, but the flavors were there. It was well balanced. It didn't really taste at 14%, although it did taste strong. Really, I loved it. Every sip of it was amazing.
Absolutely. I remember that, and I remember it being a great beer. But for me, number 5 is going to have to be Schlenkerla's Eiche Doppelbock. We did that quite early on in the series. We tried several beers from Schlenkerla, one of which was the oak smoked Doppelbock that we had never had before, either of us. We're both fairly familiar with the Märzen and the Weizen, which we had. They're among our favorite beers, but that one was new, and it differs from the others because most of their Rauch beers are beechwood smoked. That one was oak smoked, so it was a little bit different, and it really stuck with me. Fabulous beer.
Fair. No, completely fair. In 4. So for me, my number 4 was the White Hag Shamrock Shake.
Ah, yeah.
Like, how can you not remember a green beer? Just for starters, you know?
Do you know, I had that in my honourable mentions list as well, actually.
Yeah, it was exciting. It was one of those beers that made us both giggle.
Yeah.
It was a bit different. Like, all the flavors were there. It was creamy. It was minty. It was properly green.
Yeah.
It like, you could tell, like, even just thinking back to it, it's just making me smile.
It was beautiful. It was a proper minty milkshake. It was like Bière de Monte. It was.
You know what? It was. Yeah, it really was.
Yeah, that was a really, really memorable beer. And as you say, how can you not remember a bright green beer? You're always going to. And it was fabulous. Great choice. My number 4, meanwhile, is another one from Tiny Rebel's 9th birthday drop, actually. It was hard just to narrow those ones down, because what a drop that was.
What a drop.
We did eventually manage to get through all of them. And this one appeared in the penultimate episode of the series, actually, just before Christmas. So it may be fairly fresh in your minds. It was the Slush Dog. And that one just pipped it as my absolute favorite. That was... That beer still haunts me, actually. I mean, that was just stunning. It took me completely by surprise as well. I had no idea what to expect with that one, and it was just fabulous. It's one of those beers that just redefines what a beer can even be.
Oh, too true.
It was, god damn it, it was delicious.
It was amazing. Man. No, do you know what? That's a fair one to mention. It was absolutely outstanding. It's now the time I make you incredibly envious and say that I've still got one on the shelf.
You would do if it weren't for the fact that I actually also do have one left. But I almost don't want to drink it, because as wonderful as it is, I know that once that's gone, I'm going to be so sad, and it truly will haunt me then.
True, but I mean, at that point, I do agree with you, but also worth reminding you of the fact that we are anticipating very eagerly the 10th birthday drop.
Ooh, it's not far away.
It's getting ever closer.
And God knows what they're going to do for the decade if that was how epic the 9th birthday drop was.
I mean, we've hinted at this before. We don't know anything.
Can't even imagine.
We're all it's all speculation, but I'm anticipating fewer, but more outrageous.
Yeah, quite possibly. Maybe something even more akin to what they did for their 8th birthday drop. But who knows? We shall see.
We wait with eager anticipation.
We certainly do. And actually, I might also just briefly mention the black cherry cream that we had alongside the Slush Dog, because that was also amazing. Slush Dog just pipped it, but that was also fantastic.
They were neck and neck for most of the race. It was just odd little things, wasn't it? That just pushed that one.
There was not much in it.
Amazing.
So number 3, top 3.
Top 3 were into the top 3, and for me,
bronze medalist.
That my bronze medal. I mean, it feels unfair to say that about this beer, to be completely honest with you.
Undoubtedly,
but it is the Nepomucen Funky Fluids collab, classic with a twist, double Rauchbock, cranberry and smoked cheese.
Great choice.
Do you know what? It was just, I mean, definitely the most outrageous beer I've had all year. Because there you go, ladies and gentlemen. At time of recording, it is still in limited supply on the shelves of Cambridge Wine Royston. Get it while you can. Even if you don't necessarily fully enjoy it, you will not be disappointed for trying it. I can fully tell you that.
Absolutely.
But, just absolutely outrageous how they managed to fit cranberry. I can see, fine, fruity beers. We've had plenty, but the smoked cheese. My God, and just to taste naturally of smoked cheese. It was just the most outrageous beer I've ever drunk, but I just thoroughly enjoyed it. It was
truly special. And in an already smoked beer as well, it's a fabulous style on its own, but with those adjuncts that
smoked and to taste of smoked cheese. That was the magic in it, really.
It really blew my mind, and it was so perfectly done as well. Honestly, I think the most divisive beer I've come across I came across in 2021 all year. I've seen quite a few people try it. We had it on a tasting here at one point, and honestly, as many people hated it as loved it. Properly Marmitey beer.
I can appreciate
We both loved it, but I think that's part of what makes it great. So won't disagree with you there. However, for me, number 3 was Unbarred's Honeycomb Milkshake.
Fair.
Yep, that was, again, right at the beginning of the series, but it was one that all throughout the rest of the year really stuck in my mind. I remembered that beer. I loved it so much. It was one of my surprises of the year, actually. It really just came out of nowhere and blew my mind. I love it. I think it's one of my favorite beers. I've had it a few times again since. Still does not disappoint. Oh, it's just an incredible beer, unbelievably well made, and that really is the beer that I think, for me at least, really kicked off the love affair with Unbarred properly.
I could not put it better myself. I really couldn't.
Yeah.
Into
two, up to silver.
But again, it feels unfair to say that, and I've got to be honest, I'm going to be repeating some of the things you just said, because my number 2 was the Unbarred Honeycomb.
Well, how about that?
It absolutely was. And yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's one of the things, it wasn't the first Unbarred beer we had within that episode, but it was just something we were both so blown away. And it's a memorable beer for me, but it's also, in terms of both of us, just the way we both reacted to it, the way we both loved it, was just really unparalleled almost with every beer we've ever drunk together.
Yeah.
And as you said, it really did spark the love affair with Unbarred. I mean, the fact that we waxed so lyrical about it, and we weren't blowing smoke up anyone. We genuinely loved it so much.
We genuinely fell in love with it.
But it was that moment when Unbarred actually got in touch with us, and we got in contact. You were able to get in contact with them to start supplying and stocking the beer in your shop. Exactly. That was where we were able to then go and visit them for their birthday. It all started really with that episode, but predominantly with that beer.
It all comes down to that beer, I think. And, it just took me completely by surprise, that beer. And, we do currently stock some Unbarred beers. Don't currently have that one, unfortunately. We did for a while, but it sold out pretty damn quickly.
So I think also worth noting, to be fair,
brewing again with that one.
But that's the thing. It's a release they do keep redoing. And again, not only do I remember the drinking of the beer, but I remember how excited we both got as soon as we discovered they were doing another batch and it would be available again. It was like we were kids in sweet shops. It was just really utterly ridiculous, but brilliant.
Definitely one of the top beers of the year. But for me, number 2 is another inversion, because it's the Funky Fluid Classic with a Twist, number 3 again. It's that cranberry and smoked cheese. For me, that just pipped Honeycomb Milkshake as my biggest surprise of the year. Honeycomb Milkshake was one of my big surprises of 2021, but that Classic with a Twist, that was my number 1. It's just totally taken aback. Where the hell did that come from? That completely blew my head off. Surprise of 2021. That's a beer I will remember for years to come.
Do you know what? I cannot question that at all. I almost wonder if it's worth us both saying they're both joint second.
Yeah,
because there's so many great reasons as to why we've given them one way or the other. But both 3 and 2, or 2 and 3, whichever way you want to slice it.
It was close.
Amazing beers.
There was no doubt in my mind, incidentally, when I was putting this list together, that those 2 would be 2 and 3. I agonized about which order I was going to put them in.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the slightly less agony with me, but I can fully see where you're coming from. I mean, the fact that those 2 have to be in the top 3, no question.
They had to. Yeah, they really did. They stuck in my mind more than just about anything else last year. Except for one. And now it's time for our gold medalist, the most memorable beer of 2021.
The most memorable beer of 2021 from Series 1 of Boozer and the Brain was the Chimay Grande Reserve.
Fermenté en barrique Rhum 2021. And we both had this as our number 1 beer. Where do we start?
Where do we start? I mean, I think it's fair to say it was the most memorable. I mean, I know I said earlier, these are most memorable, not the best we've had, but this is the most memorable because it is, without a doubt, the best beer we have drunk.
Yeah, I think this might have been the best beer that I've ever had. Never mind in 2021. the evidence is all there. I gave this my highest Untapped rating ever. This is the first and only so far beer that has received a 4.75 from me on Untapped. It stands alone at the moment. It was incredibly special. I mean, I don't even know where to start describing it. I really don't.
You know what? I can't. All I would suggest is that people go back and try and listen to the drunken ramblings that we had when we actually recorded the episode. Gentle reminder. I mean, this is a special release, as Matt said in his best possible French accent. Fermented. I know, I'm just deliberately being mean. But fermented in the rum barrels, and then fermented in the vat, and then fermented in the bottle. Triple fermented. But 750ml bottles, and we were lucky enough to actually enjoy it together. And I think that's probably one of the things that sticks in my mind as well, is the fact that it was the best beer we had, but we were sat together and experiencing it for the first time, and then it turned out to be such an amazing beer. It was just a wonderful experience. And really also, to the extent we loved it so much, and it's such a limited release, we then both decided to buy 2 extra bottles each to lay down and drink at special occasions.
Yep. We're going to try aging it, and I am excited already for that. But they're not going to be touched for a little while yet. That was just an unbelievable beer. It was a Trappers beer. They're always brilliant, but that really was just on another level.
This was the brilliantest of the brilliant we've had so far. It was
the brilliantest of the most brilliant. So there we go. That was our number 1 most memorable beer of the year, and that's our summary of 2021 of Series 1 of Boozer and
Series 1. And I've got to be, I am just going to say this because it was such a special beer. Dare I say, I think we're going to do well to find one better.
We are going to do well to find one better. Who knows what 2022 will bring, but it's set the bar bloody high.
It has. It's not going to stop us looking, though, is it?
Absolutely not. It's our mission.
So there we go. Our year in review. Thanks a lot for your continued support listening to the podcast. For those of you that are watching, thanks a lot for enduring us this evening, or this morning, or this afternoon, or whatever time of the day you're watching this. For what has been a reminder of some great beers that we've had.
I've enjoyed remembering them.
Oh, do you know what? You and me both. But it's also saddened me that I haven't had a glass of each of them in front of me while we're doing it.
Yeah.
But our usual reminders. Please do go out, support your local tap rooms, your beer and bottle emporia. Independent shops like Cambridge Wine Royston, who you can see the wonderful beer selection, or part of the beer selection. It's not even all of it.
Only a little bit of it, in fact.
Go out, support local, enjoy your beers, share them, enjoy them with friends. A usual shout outs again, our good friend at Cam at KG's in Didcot.
As always.
Our other beer suppliers over the year, Big Scary Monster Social Club of Cowley, Oxford, the Fuss Dot Club, the breweries we've gone straight to.
Yeah, and I was going to say, actually, a very special thanks to all the breweries we've mentioned here in our list, our most memorable list, but also just to all the breweries whose beers we've sampled over the course of the last year.
Oh, definitely. And the ones that we're going to be sampling in the future. Just thank you to every brewery for what you do, because we wouldn't be here
otherwise. So keep it up, you lot.
Absolutely. And with that, from me, Boozer.
And me, the Brain.
Thanks a lot for watching, and hopefully you'll enjoy what is to come in Series 2.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.